Hello guys, welcome to the movie recap review. Happy watching. 16-year-old Ruby Baker, a California resident, spends a late evening partying with friends. Upon returning home, she finds a patrol car waiting for her, assuming her parents reported her missing due to her late return. However, the police deliver the heartbreaking news that her parents, 45-year-old David Anthony Baker and 42-year-old Grace Heather Avery Baker, have tragically passed away in a car accident on Mulholland Drive, attributed to drunk driving. Overwhelmed, Ruby faints from the devastating revelation. At their funeral, her 11-year-old brother Rhett Clark Baker breaks down while attempting to speak about their parents. He finds solace in the comforting presence of their parents' close friends, Terrence Terry Glass and Dr. Aaron Matter Glass, as they navigate this difficult time together. Terry delivers a poignant and eloquent tribute to Ruby and Rhett's parents, David and Grace, during the funeral. Following the service, Ruby reconnects with her uncle Jack Avery, Grace's brother, whom she hasn't seen in a decade, since she was merely 6 years old. Rhett, being just a year old at the time, doesn't really know his uncle Jack. After the funeral proceedings, the family's attorney, Alvin Beglater, reveals to Ruby the substantial wealth that her parents had amassed, ensuring a prosperous future for both her and Rhett. Furthermore, Grace and David designated Terry and Aaron as the children's guardians should anything happen to them. Alvin emphasizes his availability for any future assistance Ruby might require. Ruby and Rhett subsequently move into Terry and Aaron's lavish residence overlooking the picturesque landscape of Malibu, California. The opulent house is adorned with the finest furnishings money can procure, providing them with a life of luxury and comfort. Rhett finally gets his hands on the Sony PlayStation and Nintendo 64 he's always dreamt of. The fridge stays well stocked, and there's a splendid swimming pool outside for enjoyment. Despite the spaciousness of the house, Ruby finds herself sharing a bedroom with Rhett, a situation Terry assures her is only temporary. However, they've transitioned from their exclusive private schools to the Malibu public school system. Ruby's introduction to driver's education proves harrowing as a film on drunk driving brings back the painful reminder that her parents' demise was attributed to this cause. While Rhett seems to be adapting well, Ruby witnesses a heated argument between Terry and Aaron. Terry takes Ruby out for dinner, attempting to reassure her that everything is under control despite the discord she witnessed. During their ride home, Terry drives at an alarming speed and abruptly stops the car, leaning over in a way that seems like he's about to kiss Ruby. Startled, Ruby pulls away, feeling extremely frightened. Terry then remarks, "You're not wearing your shoulder belt," proceeding to fasten her seatbelt for her. Upon reaching home, Ruby discovers Aaron unconscious on the couch, a needle in her arm, heightening her distress. The following day, Ruby convinces Vicky, the housekeeper, to drive her partway into town, then hitchhikes to Alvin's office. There, she expresses her doubts to Alvin about whether her parents truly intended Terry and Aaron to become their guardians. Ruby details the uncomfortable arrangement of sharing a bedroom with Rhett, the unsettling incident with Terry in the car, and her concerning discovery of Aaron injecting herself with a syringe. Alvin discloses to Ruby the unsettling possibility that if the situation with Terry and Aaron doesn't improve, she and Rhett could potentially become wards of the state. However, he promises to investigate the matter further. Ruby recalls Alvin mentioning their substantial inheritance and inquires about its extent. Alvin reveals that Grace and David had amassed a staggering $4 million, far more than Ruby and Rhett had realized, significantly impacting their financial standing. That evening, Terry and Aaron disclosed to Ruby that Aaron's use of the syringe was due to her diabetes. The following day, Vicky fails to pick Ruby up from school, prompting Ruby to head to Glass Transit Incorporated, Terry's company. Directed to a lounge within the building, Ruby witnesses Terry being confronted and roughed up by two men, unaware that they are associated with a loan shark. From the lounge's vantage point overlooking GTI's work garage, Ruby spots the Saab that belonged to her late parents, David and Grace, adding to the escalating mysteries and concerns she's encountering. Terry, aware that Ruby witnessed the altercation, brushes it off as a common occurrence in business dealings. He also informs her that Vicky has been dismissed due to driving Ruby without his permission. That night, Ruby takes note of the security system's code as Terry inputs it, ensuring her access in and out of the house when necessary. Researching online, Ruby discovers a discrepancy in the car her parents were driving at the time of the crash, finding that they were in a BMW sedan, not the Saab. She promptly emails this information to Alvin. While working on a Hamlet paper, Ruby falls asleep, waking to find Terry has completed the assignment for her. Despite her gratitude, his smile and wink unsettle her. The situation escalates when social worker Nancy Ryan visits Ruby at school, disturbed by what Ruby had conveyed to Alvin. Nancy investigates Terry and Aaron's home, finding separate bedrooms for Ruby and Rhett, and Aaron's medicine cabinet now stocked with diabetic medication. Following Nancy's departure, Ruby notices a postcard from her Uncle Jack in the garbage. She tears off the section containing Jack's phone number, concealing it before discarding the rest. During a thunderstorm drenching the area, Ruby attempts to log into her AOL account, only to be greeted by a message stating, "This account has been closed." As the loan shark's men contact Terry, Ruby overhears Terry confessing that 6 months ago, he brought in a silent partner who embezzled funds, leaving Terry in need of a loan. His impending payment is due the next day, but they agree to extend it by 2 days. The following day, Ruby uses the school's payphone to reach Alvin, who informs her about an email he sent. However, Ruby reveals Terry terminated her account, preventing her from receiving messages. Alvin also discloses that the BMW sedan was registered to GTI. Summoned to Vice Principal Bassett's office, Ruby faces accusations from her teacher, Mr. Kim, who alleges she plagiarized her Hamlet paper from a book titled Shakespeare, The Invention of the Human. It dawns on Ruby that Terry orchestrated her predicament by copying from the book himself, deliberately framing her and allowing the school to believe she committed plagiarism. During a fierce thunderstorm, Ruby discovers a card for the Challenge School for Teenage Girls, located in Cedar Falls, Washington. It becomes evident that Terry wants Ruby out of the picture due to her persistent inquiries. Attempting to contact Jack, Ruby finds no luck as he's not at home. Taking matters into her own hands, she retrieves the car keys from Terry and Aaron's bedroom, waking Rhett. Together, they flee in Terry's car. Aware that Terry and Aaron manipulated Rhett into lying to Nancy, Ruby enlightens Rhett about how they've been using gifts, like the Sony PlayStation and Nintendo 64, to sway him. As they continue on the road, they encounter a mudslide blocking their path. Coincidentally, Terry and Aaron catch up with them and force their return home. During this tense journey, Ruby confronts Terry, accusing him of being responsible for David and Grace's deaths. Upon arriving at the house, Ruby flees, prompting Terry to pursue her and bring her inside while Aaron attends to Rhett. Terry forcibly restrains Ruby as Aaron administers a dose of fentanyl, rendering Ruby unconscious. For a month, Terry and Aaron maintain Ruby in a drug-induced coma. Aaron, battling her own addiction, is caught stealing drugs at work, leading to the imminent revocation of her medical license, depriving them of a source for more fentanyl. Frustrated and desperate, Terry resolves to seek an alternative to keep Ruby in the induced coma. The following day, Ruby awakens to find Aaron lying beside her, deceased from an overdose resulting from self-injection. Ruby rouses Rhett, and as they attempt to escape, Terry intercepts them, locking them in the basement. In a sinister move, Terry sabotages his car's brake line, aiming for Ruby and Rhett to use the vehicle and meet a fatal accident, securing access to the $4 million inheritance. Once finished, Terry maneuvers the car out of the garage and returns to the house, feigning inebriation, strategically placing the car keys beside him. Rhett manages to break free from the basement, seizing Terry's keys and freeing Ruby. As they prepare to leave, Alvin arrives unexpectedly. Hiding nearby, Ruby and Rhett eavesdrop on Alvin's conversation. Shockingly, Alvin confesses that he had warned Terry about Ruby's revelations because he trusted Terry, aligning with David and Grace's trust in him. Alvin believed that if Terry was deceiving, and the legal system intervened, potentially separating Ruby and Rhett from Terry and Aaron, the siblings might have nowhere safe to go. In his misguided effort, Alvin thought he was protecting Ruby and Rhett. The loan sharks arrive in one of Terry's company Ferraris, and their enforcers wrongly believe Alvin was the silent partner who embezzled from Terry. Tragically, they fatally stab Alvin in a mistaken identity crisis. Subsequently, they seize Terry and lead him toward his car, unaware that Terry had tampered with its brakes. Terry desperately urges them to use the other car parked in the garage, knowing it doesn't have the brake issue. However, they discover its tires flatten, unbeknownst to them due to Ruby's prior interference using a knife. Despite Terry's pleas, the enforcers silence him by applying duct tape over his mouth and restraining his hands with more duct tape. The two cars speed off along the winding roads of Malibu. As the leaking brake line causes Terry's car to collide with the Ferrari, a tragic chain reaction unfolds. The Ferrari, struck by a large truck, results in the death of one of the enforcers. Simultaneously, Terry's vehicle careens through a guardrail and over a small cliff. Walking alone along the road, Ruby and Rhett are spotted by a passing police officer who offers assistance. Further down the road, the officer notices a missing section of the guardrail and instructs Ruby and Rhett to wait in his car while he investigates. Upon reaching the crash site, the officer discovers the wrecked car and one fatality, the second enforcer, reporting the situation and location. However, he's blindsided and rendered unconscious by a battered Terry. In a moment of gripping tension, Ruby takes control. She swiftly seizes the keys, starts the officer's car. Engaging the gear, she accelerates the vehicle backward and gazes at Terry with unmistakable contempt for his role in David and Grace's demise, and then forward. As the car gains momentum, Terry brandishes a gun, firing a shot before Ruby rams the car into him. The impact kills Terry. Additional officers arrive in response to the initial call. In the aftermath, with Jack's support, Ruby and Rhett pay their respects at the double grave where David and Grace rest. They make plans to start a new life living with Jack in Chicago, a fresh beginning away from the traumatic events they've endured. And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.